3 men, 1 island, 1 lighthouse, and a mystery that has remained unsolved for more than a century. On a cold December night in the year 1900, a lighthouse stood alone on a remote island off the coast of Scotland. Its powerful beam was supposed to guide ships safely through the darkness. 3 experienced keepers were assigned to watch over it. 3 men who knew the sea. 3 men who understood storms. 3 men who had done this job countless times before. Then, without warning, they disappeared. When the relief ship finally arrived, the island looked strangely quiet. Too quiet. The lighthouse was still standing. The buildings were still there. The beds were untouched since the last night. Personal belongings remained exactly where they should have been. But the keepers were gone. Not 1. Not 2. All 3. Vanished from one of the most isolated places in Britain. No witnesses. No distress signal. No explanation. Only the sound of crashing waves below the cliffs and the endless wind sweeping across the island.
What happened during those final hours? Did the storm hold the answer? Did something unexpected occur along the rocky shoreline? Or did one of history's strangest lighthouse mysteries leave behind clues that have yet to be understood? Tonight, we travel to the lonely island of Eilean Mor, a place where fact and legend have become intertwined, and where a simple lighthouse duty turned into one of the most enduring mysteries ever recorded. Far beyond the Scottish mainland lies a chain of rocky islands known as the Flannan Isles. They rise dramatically from the North Atlantic Ocean. Jagged cliffs tower above the sea. Powerful waves crash endlessly against black rocks. Even on calm days, the islands feel isolated. On stormy days, they can feel like the edge of the world. For centuries, sailors regarded these islands with caution. The surrounding waters were unpredictable. Fog could arrive without warning. Strong winds could appear suddenly, and dangerous currents flowed through nearby channels. To improve navigation in this challenging region, a lighthouse was built on Eilean Mor, the largest of the Flannan Isles. Completed in 1899, the lighthouse became a vital guide for ships crossing the northern seas. Its light could be seen for miles, a reassuring signal in an often unforgiving environment. But life inside the lighthouse was not easy. The keepers lived far from family and friends. Weeks could pass without seeing another face besides those of their fellow workers. The sea became their companion. The wind became their soundtrack. And isolation became part of everyday life. In December of 1900, 3 men were assigned to the station:
James Ducat, Thomas Marshall, and Donald MacArthur. Each had experience working in demanding conditions. Each understood the responsibilities of lighthouse duty. Nothing about their assignment seemed unusual, at least not at first. The days passed as expected. The light continued shining, weather observations were recorded, routine tasks were completed. Then something changed. On December 15th, ships traveling through the area noticed that the lighthouse light was not visible. At first, the missing light did not immediately cause alarm.
Heavy weather often affected visibility. Clouds and sea mist could hide distant lights. But as hours turned into days, concern began to grow. The lighthouse was supposed to be operating, yet something was clearly wrong. Because of rough seas, a relief vessel could not immediately reach the island. Day after day, the mystery deepened. The lighthouse remained silent. No messages arrived. No signals appeared. Nothing. Finally, on December 26th, nearly 2 weeks after the keepers were last known to be present, a relief ship approached Eilean Mor. As the vessel drew closer, the crew noticed something unusual. Nobody was waiting at the landing area. Normally, one of the keepers would be ready to greet arriving visitors. Supplies would be unloaded, reports exchanged, routine duties continued. But this time, no one appeared. The island felt abandoned. A crew member named Joseph Moore was sent ashore. As he climbed the steep path toward the lighthouse, a strange feeling settled over him. The silence was unsettling. No voices, no footsteps, no movement. Only the distant roar of the ocean below. When he reached the lighthouse buildings, the mystery deepened. The main entrance was closed. Inside, everything seemed strangely normal and strangely wrong at the same time. The lamps had been cleaned. The beds appeared orderly. The kitchen contained signs of recent activity. A clock had stopped. Chairs sat where they had last been used. Yet there was no sign of the men. They had simply vanished. Moore searched every room. Nothing. He checked storage areas. Nothing. He called their names. Only silence answered. Soon, a larger search began across the island. The rocky coastline was examined. Paths were inspected. Cliffs were searched. Still nothing. No trace of the keepers could be found. Investigators turned their attention to the island itself. Near the western landing area, they discovered evidence that severe weather had struck the coastline. Heavy equipment had been displaced. Storage boxes showed signs of damage. Iron railings had been bent. The sea had clearly been active. But was this enough to explain the disappearance? One theory suggested that one keeper may have gone outside to inspect storm damage. Perhaps a second followed, then a third. A sudden wave could have caught them by surprise. It seemed plausible, yet questions remained. Why would all 3 men leave the lighthouse? Rules generally required someone to remain inside. Why had no warning been recorded? Why had experienced keepers placed themselves in such a vulnerable position? The deeper investigators looked, the stranger the story became. As years passed, rumors and legends began to grow. Stories spread among sailors. Whispers circulated through nearby communities. Some accounts described unusual weather. Others spoke of strange sounds carried by the wind. The isolation of Eilean Mor only fueled speculation. The island already felt mysterious. Now, it had a mystery of its own. Writers published theories. Newspapers revisited the story. Researchers examined every known detail. Yet, no explanation fully solved the puzzle. More than 100 years later, historians still debate what happened. Modern experts generally believe extreme weather likely played a role. The geography of the island makes it vulnerable to enormous waves. Unexpected surges can strike with incredible force. A combination of severe weather and unfortunate timing may explain the disappearance. Because no definitive evidence was ever found, certainty remains impossible. And that uncertainty is exactly what keeps the story alive. Today, the lighthouse still overlooks the Atlantic, its white tower standing against the cliffs. Visitors who learn about Eilean Mor often find themselves asking the same question people asked in 1900.
What really happened during those final hours? Was it simply a tragic accident? Or was there something about that winter storm that history has never fully understood? The ocean keeps its secrets well. The wind carries no answers. And the island remains silent, waiting, as it has for more than a century. A lonely lighthouse, 3 missing keepers, and one mystery that refuses to fade into history. Because sometimes the most fascinating stories are not the ones with answers. They are the ones that leave us staring into the darkness, wondering what happened when nobody was there to see it.
The lighthouse still stands on Eilean Mor. The waves still crash against its cliffs. But what happened to the 3 keepers remains one of history's greatest mysteries. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more fascinating mysteries and true stories from around the world. And tell us in the comments, what do you think happened on that stormy night? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next mystery.